Former sinners, future legends. They trade in brothel cages for desert highways, fleeing on stolen motorcycles. What is this adventure we're talking about? Let's find out. Hello and welcome to another episode of the Spiraken Manga Review. I'm your host Zan, saying konnichiwa, aloha, buongiorno, and what's up? Hope you're doing good. Hope you're excited for another fun-filled episode of this awesome podcast you can find at www.spiraken.com. We're also on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, Spotify, YouTube, and various other social media sites. Just type in SPIRAKN. I'll guarantee you find us one way or the other. We're also on various social media sites. And if you're watching on YouTube, remember to like, share, subscribe, and as always, click on that bell for notification for when we release new episodes. And this is one just kind of interesting and going to be a quicker episode because I can't really show most of the content for this manga. So we're not have a lot of visuals. And more importantly, this is a manga that was canceled. Kind of a whole thing. But we're going to get to that in a moment. So let's actually get to it because if you remember from that last episode, I spun that one, that only, the Wheel of Manga. And it did turn to be there reviewing a manga that was written by that one, that only Moyoco Anno, wife to Hideki Anno, creator of Evangelion and Shin Godzilla. And what are we talking about? We're talking about Buffalo Five Girls. Now, Buffalo Five Girls is a very, well, it's a manga which we really can't show because it's a very unique Josei manga about a group of women who are all prostitutes in a town which is set in kind of the mid Wild West, but it's not really because there's motorcycles and other things that are present like Glocks and things, but it is kind of like a fantasized Wild West. And these girls are all, well, they all have reasons for what they're doing. And this is kind of a choice of running away to finding a future or staying where things are bad. It is the concept of we're stronger creatures together and we can do what we can, but also what is more important, love and life. And this is the story of, well, let's talk about it. We have two girls. We have Susie and Candy. They're both members of a brothel in a small town, and after an incident involving Candy knocking out the boss and Susie end up shooting someone, they kind of grab a motorcycle and run off to get away from this brothel where they're treated pretty horribly. And they're trying to find a way out of this deal that they're in. Eventually, riding on this motorcycle across the desert highway, they're accosted by horrible men, evil circumstances, a very arid desert, and maybe a cop who is in love with one of them. And as they're driving off, they find other girls in similar situations, and they keep adding them to this party to create this 5-girl group that may become outlaws on their own. Well, it could have been, but unfortunately this has never been finished, so we don't know how it ends. But our main characters are Susie and Sweet Candy. And Sweet Candy is a blonde-haired girl who loves sex, and she's looking for love. She wants to find a woman's idea of love, the man that she's going to love forever. And actually, she ends up kind of falling in love with this cop that's after them, who ends up letting them go, and he's like, I'm the only one who can catch you. And that is the story of this. He's going after them, and they end up driving off to different locations. First, they stop at a town where there's a girl who the whole town wants to have relations with, and the last guy she's with is one that she's in love with, but he ends up selling her out because he's a prick. So, gets bad. They end up torching the town. She ends up joining them. They find someone else who's in a similar situation, end up torching a town, killing a bunch of guys. Wash, rinse, repeat. It's a women empowerment cowboy series, which is a kind of comedy, kind of drama. There's a little bit of action to it, but for the most part, it's Moyoco Anno's attempt at making a Western series. And let's be honest, it's one where the art is amazing, the story makes sense. However, the bad thing is that this story is only 10 chapters, and it's in the middle of a storyline when they get canceled. So nothing is set up. The 5 girls finally meet, and then that's it. This was never released as a actual tankobon. It's released digitally. You can get this on Azuki or Crunchyroll, but there's not much else there. And it's a shame that there was never a physical release for this because the art is really cool, but it's just, yeah, it's a series which it does a lot of good things. And I know that I am doing a disservice to this by not spoiling too much because this is a short series and there's a lot of moving parts to it, but I don't want to spoil it because that's all there is. There's only these 10 chapters, and the plot is Candy and Susie driving, trying to find something out in the desert, finding a new life from Keith, the asshole pimp, who's essentially after them. There is a lot of nudity in this. There's a lot of sexual content. This is spicy as anything, so there's a lot of spice to it. And if you're not into that, you're not going to like that. If you are into it, you'll like it. This is very similar to the art style of Helter Skelter, which is another Moyoco Anno series. But this one just, it feels a little different because it is in this weird world and circumstance. And honestly, for that reason, it makes you want to know more. It has a great world that you want to know more about because it's not the present, it's not the past, it's something else. There's motorcycles, there's modern guns, there's modern clothes, but then it's in the Wild West. There's Native Americans. There is a lot of like brothels and saloons. So it's a weird situation. And I gotta say, this is one of those ones where I don't know what to do. I don't know what to go with this as because I want to be like, yes, it's amazing, it's great, but there's so many flaws to it because we don't know more about the situation. And honestly, Candy is idealistic and she's happy and she wants to find love and she wants to see the best in everything. Susie, on the other hand, she has seen the worst of humanity. She despises men, and it takes Susie helping her to kind of create this symbiotic relationship. And then later on, they make more friends and more bad things happen. It keeps going back and forth. And you're building these relationships, but we don't get enough of it. And it's kind of short. Now, if this was a longer series or if it was a better done one shot, this, like Moyoco Anno has done, series where they're one shots and they work, this would be getting a very high rating. However, because of the incompleteness of this, also there's a lot of sex in this, which is fine, but it's kind of porn with plot at one point. It docks it a little bit. And for that reason, I have to give this a Gift from a Crazy Aunt Muriel. It's okay, but in the end, I'm not going to remember this later. Moyoco Anno has better things than this. But this is a cool concept of girls who escape a brothel to find themselves. And that's really cool. The art is great, and there's tons of fan service, tons of nudity, but the art is well done. And I'd like to see her work more on a series like this. And this is covering a sensitive topic of sex workers and how they're people. They're not just objects. And you feel empathetic towards them, but there's not enough of this, and the fact that it was canceled docks it. So this is worth checking out if you have a chance. But in the long run, honestly, I don't think you're going to find it. So yeah, that's my thoughts on Buffalo 5 Girls. If you've read this, you can email me personally at Xan, that's Xan at Spiraken.com, or comment below. Let me know your thoughts on if this was a good series, if it wasn't, or if you're thinking I'm being too harsh on it. Because I really do like this series. It's just, I got to think about the fact that you can't get more of it. There's no physical release. It makes it kind of difficult to find the series. But anyway, I digress. So with that in mind, let's actually get to the manga releases for this week, and there's not a lot. There's been a small amount. So let's get to it because, well, let's go to it. So starting off with Ashita no Joe, Fighting for Tomorrow, Volume 3. Yes, we have the next volume of Ashita no Joe came out. I'm excited for this one because it's Ashita no Joe. Next, we have Cat Gamer, Volume 8. The saga of training a cat to be #1 is still going on, and now we have a new kitten friend. The Fed Up Office Lady Wants to Serve the Villainess, Volume 1. How to Build a Dungeon, Book of the Demon King, Volume 10. My Girlfriend is 8 Meters Tall, Volume 1. Survival in Another World with My Mistress, the novel, Volume 8. And then last but not least, we have Yadare Dark Elf, She Chased Me All the Way to Another World, Volume 3. So, not a lot of manga that came out this week, but there's some really good ones and some which are kind of weird. So, for me personally, my thoughts on this, my top 5 of the week are going to be A Shooter No Joe number 3 because I'm a huge Shooter No Joe fan. You got Cat Gamer, which is just a fun niche manga that's weird. The Fed Up obviously wants to serve the villainous is a interesting take on the villainous trope, and this one I think is a little like Apprentice to the Villain, where she's the assistant and they're gonna fall in love. It's probably gonna be a slow burn. How to Build a Dungeon, Book of the Demon King is a spin-off, could be good, and then Survival in Another World with My Mistress. This one, well, I don't know. I want it to be good. We're gonna have to wait and find out. But which ones are you most excited about? Let me know. Email me zan@spiraken.com or tweet me at Spiraken. And before we get any further, I'd like to thank each and every one of you for checking out this video. Every email I get, every comment I get, every new message gives me more motivation to keep doing this podcast. I love doing this. I love doing reviews, and I'm going to keep doing this as long as I can until I'm an old man with thick glasses and, well, I'm having to read fine print manga. So let me know your thoughts. And remember to like, share, subscribe. Let me know your thoughts. And actually, let's get to the part that you've all been waiting for. You know what I'm talking about. I'm talking about that one. That only. The Wheel of Manga! Yes, friends, the Wheel of Manga, except no substitute. Now, what is the Wheel of Manga? The Wheel of Manga is a Wheel of Fortune with 10 slots on it. What I've done is I've assigned a manga title to each of 10 slots. So we're going to spin the wheel. Whatever number it lands on, that's the manga we're going to review the next episode of the Spiraken Manga Review, episode 594. And we've got some great titles this week, and I know this was a little bit of a faster episode, but we're doing what we can. So let's spin and see what we're going to review in the next episode, shall we? Number 3, Little Leo. Wow, this is a old school manga, which is pretty cool, pretty dark, and pretty what the fuck. Well, what is this manga about? It's a really old manga that was done about a lot. I mean, so we're gonna be talking about Little Leo. If you've read this, let me know your thoughts. Anyway, as usual, I'm your host Zan. I'm Gonzville. Catch you guys next time, and as always, keep reading manga. See you later.